It's Don the Auction Professor here. I just wanted to touch base on just a quick thing here that I hear a lot of people having issues with is time management. A lot of people just don't know how to space their time out. I hear people talking about it takes too long to list, it takes too long for me to photograph. You know, I'm just not getting enough stuff done, or it takes too long to source. There's things you can do that will speed up this for you and make your life a little easier. Sourcing, for one, is a big one here for us. If you're sourcing, the best thing to do is to plan out a route. There's apps you can get if you're going garage selling and things like that, but for us, I literally write out a route. I'll figure out where I'm going for the day. I'll only go to certain places, like if I'm wanting to go to a picker and there's thrift stores out there, I'll hit those at the same time. The only time I'll go to certain places is if I'm hitting several at a time. I do not like to drive to one specific place on its own unless it's a killer score or it's like a picker. The thrift stores just are not reliable anymore at all for what we sell. I'm trying to avoid clothing. Clothing's just, a rat race for the most part, and it's getting harder and harder with, the way the policies are changing. Just like Amazon did, eBay's heading the same route. So I try to time manage everything and get the most out of every trip I take. Again, as I said, I write it down if I have to, print it out, whatever the case may be. Get yourself a scheduled chart of where you're going to go on each specific day if that's how you do it. Same thing goes for if you're working. If you're working, you need to maximize your time. I've talked about this a little bit in other videos. If, you take minutes off from here, a few minutes there, you're working out of your house, it may not seem like a big ordeal, but when you're doing stuff like that, you're wasting time. Whatever you're doing, if you're working, though, you can put your time together, too. Like a good example, if you're taking photographs, put all the same items together. If we take photographs, we're just doing postcard setup. I'll set up the camera and everything so we can just do one after another. And I've showed you how I do my photographs and how my setup is for my small paper items like that. If you haven't seen that video, I'd really recommend going back. I've got an easy way that takes up little space. I've got several different sets of lights. I've got the big pole lights, and then I've got tabletop lights that use the exact same bulbs that we actually made. And then with those and the way I do postcards, they can do hundreds of them in a day. Last week there were several days when they did almost 4,000 photographs. That means they took pictures of 2,000 postcards. That's a pretty good thing. That's almost 1,000 a person is how it figured out to be, the two people that took photos that day. And that's, a couple weeks worth of photos for somebody, possibly. It just depends. A good lister here with postcards, because they're so quick to list, can get 100 up in a day easily, and so can I, any day of the week. The key to doing that is putting like items together again. Like with postcards, if I've got 20 Michigan postcards, they're all going to go next to each other, so I do not have to change category. And now with the business policies that I'll be using, I don't have to worry about anything on the bottom anyway. The returns, the payments, and the shipping are all handled with policies now, so I don't have to worry about questioning or employees or anything like that. And everything else is a sell similar, and then they're just changing the title, the photo, and the price, basically. The condition on them is in decent condition, is what I write for pretty much everything. So I've even shortened down my type of description, and I let the photo do the talking. So I don't have to sit here and nitpick if there's a crease or something, add it up into that little spot on the top, and that's about it. So I've shortened down any process I can to save time and get as much up as possible. If you're doing clothing and other things, do all the clothing together. Do all the shirts together first. Because that way you're listing in similar categories. You don't have as much to change in the descriptions. If you're doing books, obviously separate the books. Separate them by size so it's easier to adjust the camera. That's all things you need to do. If you're doing different size cards, do all one size first and then the next size up second, so you can zoom out as you go with the camera. That saves time. Just like working, if you're having problems getting enough hours in or getting your schedule done or figuring out how to work your hours and make sure you stick to it, write yourself a schedule. If that's what it takes, put it on the wall somewhere, buy one of the big dry eraser boards with the calendar dates already written on them, and make yourself a schedule. Stick to it. Check yourself in when you're there. Do it every day. And if that's, you don't want to go that route, track how many hours you're working each day. Write when you start, write when you stop. You take a break, you write it down, and then you write when you come back. And figure out how many hours you're putting in. I guarantee you, if you're not getting enough done, you're going to find all kinds of places where you're wasting time. Stopping here, stopping there, doing stuff that you just don't need to do. Your number one task and priority is getting stuff up and selling on eBay. That's your number one prime directive, is to get your stuff going. You know, if you're not making enough money, you don't have enough stuff up, work 5 days a week, you know, 10-hour days if that's what it takes, 12-hour days if that's what it takes. But if you're not managing your time, you're blowing a lot of your time away for stuff that's not giving you any return on your investment. When you're managing your time properly, you're getting a proper return on your investment. Just like my employees when they're coming into work and stuff, I want to pay for that shift that day and still make a profit. You know, most of the items we have, I've researched almost every single thing we have, so I know the items are good. If they're not, I'm going to discard them or throw them in a lot, or use the junk drawer philosophy and throw them in a junk drawer and get my money back that way. It always works. If you haven't seen my video on the junk drawers, go back and look. It's how to sell items that can't be sold. It works all the time. I'm not the only YouTuber talking about it. Anybody who talks about, you know, junk drawer lots is probably a decent YouTuber. They know at least something more than the average person that's just selling clothing and stuff. You can't sell junk lots and clothing. You can only bundle them together. So, you know, junk lots are a good way as well too. But, you know, it's all about time. Everything is time management. If you're not managing your time properly, you're wasting money, you're wasting time, you're wasting part of your life that day. So, you know, even with eating, I eat while I'm working. You know, I try not to take any extra breaks. I try not to deviate. You know, I've got a set schedule that I follow. I get up when the kids are in school. My youngest, you know, has to get up at 6, so once he's at school, I literally work from that point on. Usually from 7 to 7 is what I try to do, and then, you know, the hour getting him ready and all. That's my typical day, Monday through Friday. During the week, and then I wrap up on Saturdays, sometimes Sunday nights. I don't mind working a lot. I can stop and start, but I know how to manage my time properly, and I know, you know, when I've hit a mark where I just don't really need to worry about it anymore, and I'm just going to go relax a little bit. You know, it's a game. You have to give and take, and you have to know when to relax. But if you're not getting the income and you're not getting the items up, you don't have time to relax. You have to spend some time to figure out why your time's going away. You know, for those of you who are having problems listing, wherever you can cut stuff out. And business policies, as I said, I just talked about it. It's something new. I just started it myself. It's a big plus. It's a big help. It's a time saver. It's going to save you time even in the future when eBay adds in a couple weeks the differential on the free returns from the U.S. versus overseas. When that's added on, if you're going to have to sit there and change your listings manually, it's going to take you some time. I'll just be able to go into business policies after you opt in and just click, you know, change this feature, and it's done. That's it. You know, it's a quick, easy fix. But again, time management, for everything you do, you can manage your time. Like if you wrap up, pull your items all out first. If that's easier, that can save you time. Get all your packing material ready and set up, and, you know, have it all ready to go. For us, like when I'm pulling out stuff to wrap, you know, to package up, I'll wrap it all up, so all I got to do is grab one after another. Like the records, I'll open up and tape up, you know, 5, 6, 8, 10 boxes, whatever 78s I've got out going that morning, and I'll have them all ready to go. I'll have the paper all crumbled up and all that stuff, so I can just boom, 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 pack them into the boxes. It doesn't make any sense to get one ready and then move on to a different item. Stagger them so you've got like items that you're packing together, because it goes much quicker. Again, 5 minutes here doesn't sound like much, but if you save 5 minutes from 10 or 15 different things each day of the week, you're saving a ton of time. That extra hour, hour and a half each day you could be using to list more items and increase your profits and sales. So, you know, time management is your biggest thing. And as I said, the biggest thing you can do is to write down what you're spending your time on now, and then figure out a way to cut that time down. Put it on an Excel spreadsheet. You know, I'll show you some of this real soon. As I said, I've been working on an Excel video. I was hoping to have it up this week, but I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to get all the attachments and all that to be posted on YouTube. And once I get all that, I'm going to post some of the copies of the forms I'm actually showing you. So you'll be able to look at those forms after, you know, or during the video, even if you wish. You can pause it, look at the forms, and as I discuss stuff, you'll be able to, like, actually play around with it and see how it works, is what my goal is to show you. So again, time management, write it down, track your time, cut off wherever you can. Don't waste your time. That is the biggest thing. People, when wasting time, time is money, and that is a fact. You're blowing time, you're wasting money. There's just no way around it. You know, you should be able to get up at least 50 pieces of clothing a day, minimum. That's what I can get up. Again, I may be faster than you, but it's just going to take you a little time to get to that point. I've cut out every little spot I can think of to save time, to quicken the process for everything we do. Everything we do, whether it's set up photos, set up, you know, stuff for my employees, or set up, you know, boxing up, anything. I've cut out the middleman, and I've cut out all the little time expense things out of there, and I cut my my time down, and we've increased, the productivity. That's how you increase productivity. You manage your time properly. But that's just a touch on time. Hopefully you learned something. If you liked the video, please hit the like button below. Subscribe and tell a friend.